The invitation arrived between a past-due electric bill and a flyer for dollar pizza. Elena Moretti almost threw it away with the junk mail. Ivory cardstock, gold embossing, the St. Jude Children's Foundation annual charity gala, the event where she'd spent 6 years smiling until her face ached, standing beside Marcus Ashford like a well-dressed lamp he'd occasionally remember to acknowledge. Her fingers left paint smudges on the envelope. Cadmium red from the 18th century portrait she'd been restoring since dawn. The same red as the lipstick Marcus used to buy her. "Wear this one," he'd say. Not ask, never ask. 2 years since the divorce. 2 years of rebuilding herself in this cramped Red Hook studio that smelled like linseed oil and freedom, while Marcus climbed higher with Vanessa Chen, 24, Instagram perfect, the kind of woman who said literally 3 times per sentence and meant it 0 times. But this invitation was different. At the bottom, in elegant script, featuring the unveiling of Madonna of the Shadows, restored by Elena Moretti. Her Madonna. Elena walked to the window, invitation trembling in her paint-stained hands. Across the street, a bodega's neon sign flickered. Not the view from Marcus's penthouse. Not the life she'd known. Better. Her phone buzzed. Sophia, crime reporter, best friend. The only person from her married life who'd chosen Elena over Marcus's narrative. "Did you get it?" Sophia didn't bother with hello. "I'm looking at it." "And?" "He'll be there, with her." Elena's reflection stared back from the darkening window. Thinner than before, tired. But her eyes held something Marcus had tried to extinguish. Determination. "Good. Let him see what he threw away." Sophia's voice softened. "Lena, this is your night. You brought a masterpiece back to life. You're not going as his ex-wife. You're going as Elena Moretti, the artist who does impossible things." After hanging up, Elena pulled the painting's contract from her files. 18 months ago, an inquiry from a law firm. Anonymous client, damaged Renaissance work, astronomical pay. She'd almost said no, too good to be true, probably a scam. But the painting arrived, and Elena understood why they'd chosen her. The Madonna was dying. 400 years of smoke damage, water stains, cracked paint revealing raw canvas beneath. Most restorers would have called it unsalvageable, but Elena had sat on her studio floor and cried for 20 minutes, seeing past the damage to the woman underneath. Serene, sorrowful, one hand reaching toward light she couldn't quite touch. Just like Elena, she'd spent 18 months in dialogue with a dead artist's ghost, carefully removing centuries of pain, revealing beauty everyone said was lost forever. And somewhere in that process, she'd restored herself too. The night of the gala arrived cold and clear. Elena stood before her closet's meager contents. The designer gowns from her marriage were gone. Sold, donated, burned in a very therapeutic evening with Sophia and cheap wine. She chose burgundy velvet. Simple. No logos, no labels, no Marcus whispering, "This makes you look appropriate." The fabric felt like sin against her skin. She paired it with her grandmother's pearl earrings and the silver bracelet she wore when restoring. Her talisman. No town car, no chauffeur, just a yellow cab that smelled like pine air freshener and old coffee. The museum rose before her, all marble columns and dramatic lighting. Her stomach twisted. Photographers clustered at the entrance. Luxury cars disgorged beautiful people in clothes that cost more than her rent. Then she saw them. Marcus emerged from a Bentley, and Elena's breath caught, not from longing, but from the strange distance of seeing a stranger wearing a familiar face. He'd put on weight. His hairline had receded, but that smile, that practiced, photogenic smile, that hadn't changed. Vanessa followed, poured into pink sequins, laughing at something on her phone. Not at Marcus, at her phone. Elena's driver started to pull to the entrance. "No, go around. Staff entrance." She couldn't. Not the red carpet. Not the photographers who'd once captioned her as Marcus Ashford and wife, like she was an accessory that came with the suit. "You sure, lady? Big party like this." "I'm sure." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Ms. Moretti, Mr. Cavalier's assistant is looking for you. Please find Ms. Chen upon arrival. Mr. Cavalier, her anonymous patron, the man who'd paid her more money than Marcus had ever let her spend, who'd read every one of her rambling 3 a.m. emails about pigment oxidation and underpainting techniques, who'd written back with questions that proved he actually cared, the man she'd never met. Elena paid the driver and slipped through the staff entrance. Inside, the noise hit first. Laughter, champagne clinks, the particular frequency of wealth and power. She pressed against a wall, suddenly aware of her simple dress, her lack of diamonds. Then she saw it. Center stage, shrouded in velvet, spotlit like the treasure it was, her Madonna. Something loosened in Elena's chest. This was why she'd come. She took a champagne flute from a passing waiter and stepped into the crowd. Well, well, look what slithered in. Not Marcus's voice, Vanessa's. Sharp as her contoured cheekbones, Elena turned slowly. They stood 3 feet away, Marcus and his replacement, both assessing her like a stain on expensive upholstery. Vanessa. Marcus. Elena's voice came out steadier than she felt. You both look well. Marcus's eyes traveled her dress with the critical assessment she remembered, finding it wanting, always wanting. Kathy, I didn't think you'd actually show up. Did they hire you to work the coat check? The old Elena would have flushed, stammered. This, Elena smiled. I was invited, professionally. Vanessa giggled, that specific influencer laugh calibrated for maximum cuteness. Oh, honey, that's so sweet. It's probably a mailing list error, but really brave of you to come anyway. I mean, after everything... She touched Marcus's arm possessively. It must be hard seeing us so happy. Actually, Elena started. Listen, Kathy. Marcus leaned in, voice dropping to that false intimate tone he used when delivering cruelty disguised as concern. If you're struggling financially, you don't need to crash our events for free champagne. Just call my office. I can spare something, for old time's sake. People were turning, noticing. This was the performance. Marcus, the magnanimous ex-husband, Elena, the desperate divorcee who couldn't let go. Elena's fingers tightened on her champagne flute. Sophia's voice echoed. This isn't about him anymore. That's generous, Marcus, but I think... A new voice interrupted, smooth as aged whiskey. Her dress is lovely. The air changed. Later, Elena would remember this moment as the one where her entire life pivoted on an axis she didn't know existed. A man had appeared beside them. Tall. She had to tilt her head to meet his eyes. Salt and pepper hair swept back, jawline that could cut glass, wearing a tuxedo like he'd been born in it. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath, dark, almost black, and looking at her like she was the only person in the room. Not past her, not through her, at her. Burgundy, he continued, still holding Elena's gaze. It suits you, brings out the gold undertones in your skin, very pre-Raphaelite. Dante Gabriel Rossetti would have painted you. Marcus bristled. I'm sorry, who are... The man's eyes finally shifted to Marcus, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. We haven't been introduced. Though I know who you are, Mr. Ashford. He said the name like identifying an insect. Then, back to Elena, his expression transforming, warming. But you must be Ms. Moretti. I've been searching everywhere for you. He extended his hand. His fingers were long, calloused, hands that had built things and broken things. Dante Lupo, he said. It's an extraordinary honor to finally meet the woman who understood what everyone else called irredeemable. The name detonated in Elena's mind. Lupo. Everyone knew that name. Old New York money, older New York power. The kind of family whose legitimate businesses were documented and whose other businesses were whispered about in rooms where lawyers couldn't follow. Marcus had gone gray, literally gray, like someone had drained the blood from his face. You're... Marcus's voice cracked. You're her client? Dante didn't answer. He was still looking at Elena, hand still extended, waiting. She took it. His grip was warm, firm, and the smile that curved his lips held something that made her pulse stumble. Not danger exactly, but promise. "Ms. Moretti," he said, and the way he said her name, with weight, with respect, like it mattered. "Would you allow me to escort you? I believe we have a masterpiece to unveil." He offered his arm. Around them, the room had gone quiet. Phone cameras lifted, whispers spreading like wildfire. Elena placed her hand on Dante Lupo's arm, felt the solid warmth of him beneath expensive fabric, and let him lead her away from Marcus's stunned silence. The crowd parted, and Elena Moretti, who'd been invisible for so long, suddenly existed in sharp, undeniable focus. Walking through the ballroom on Dante Lupo's arm felt like moving through water made of whispers. The crowd didn't just part. It reformed around them, a living organism recognizing an apex predator in its midst. Elena caught fragments as they passed. "That's Dante Lupo, Christ, I didn't know he was... Who is she? Nobody knows. Just humiliated Marcus Ashford in front of..." Dante's hand rested at the small of her back, warm through burgundy velvet. Not possessive, protective. There was a difference, and Elena's body knew it even if her mind was still catching up. "Breathe," he murmured, close enough that she caught his scent, cedar and something darker, like expensive smoke. "They're staring because you're beautiful, not because you don't belong." "I don't belong," she whispered back. "Neither do I. I just stopped caring what they think." His fingers pressed slightly against her spine, grounding, steadying. "But you belong more than any of them. You created something tonight. They just paid for the privilege of seeing it." He guided her to reserved seats, front row, 2 chairs with small placards. D. Lupo and E. Moretti. Her name. In the front row. Equal billing. As she sat, a woman materialized. Severe black suit, tablet in hand, expression unreadable. "Mr. Lupo, Ms. Moretti. I'm Ms. Chen, Mr. Lupo's assistant. If you need anything this evening, anything at all, I'm 3 steps behind you." "Thank you, Adriana." Dante's voice softened when he spoke to her. Family, Elena realized. Not employee. Family. Ms. Chen's eyes flicked to Elena, assessing, then something like approval crossed her face. "Welcome, Ms. Moretti. Your work is extraordinary." Then she disappeared into the crowd. "She's terrifying," Elena said. "She's protective. There's a difference." Dante shifted in his seat, angling toward Elena. "Are you all right? That ambush with your ex-husband?" "I'm fine. You're trembling." Elena looked down. Her hands shook in her lap. Dante's hand covered both of hers, warm and solid. "That's adrenaline," he said quietly. "Not fear. Your body knowing you just survived something that used to destroy you. That's strength, Elena. Not weakness." The way he said her name, full, complete, never the diminutive Marcus had used, did something to her chest, made it hard to breathe. "How do you know about Marcus?" A sad smile touched his lips. "I told you. I do thorough research before investing in restoration projects. But I didn't commission you because of your ex-husband's cruelty. I commissioned you despite it. Your preliminary analysis of the Madonna. Do you remember what you wrote?" Elena shook her head. "You said the artist painted grief that was meant to be felt, not seen. That the Madonna's sorrow lived in the negative space between her fingers reaching toward light she'd never touch. You understood longing, Elena. Real longing. That's not something you learn in graduate school." The lights dimmed. The master of ceremonies took the stage, some news anchor Elena vaguely recognized. He spoke about charity, about children, about the importance of preserving history. Then, "Tonight, we have the extraordinary privilege of witnessing the rebirth of a Renaissance treasure. For 18 months, one of our city's most talented but criminally under-recognized conservators has worked miracles. The Madonna of the Shadows was discovered in a European private collection, ravaged by fire, water, time itself. 5 prestigious restoration houses examined it and refused the commission. Unsalvageable, they said. Lost." Elena's pulse hammered. But Dante Lupo found someone who saw possibility where others saw ruin. "Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Elena Moretti." Applause. Spotlight. Elena couldn't move. Dante leaned close, his lips nearly brushing her ear. Go. Show them what impossible looks like. His breath against her skin sent electricity down her spine. She stood on legs that felt borrowed and climbed the stage stairs. The microphone stand gleamed. Beyond the lights, hundreds of faces, blurred, expectant. Somewhere out there, Marcus watched. But for once, Elena didn't care. She walked to the shrouded easel, her fingers finding the velvet covering. This moment, she'd imagined it 1,000 times in her studio during those 3 a.m. sessions when exhaustion and transcendence blurred together. She pulled the fabric away. The gasp was visceral, collective, real. The Madonna emerged from shadow exactly as Elena had dreamed, serene despite darkness surrounding her, one pale hand extended toward golden light that seemed to glow from within the canvas itself. The sorrow in her eyes was profound, but not defeated. Resilient grace. For a moment, absolute silence. Then applause crashed over Elena like a wave, and she felt tears burning her eyes. Through blurred vision, she saw Marcus in the third row. Not clapping mechanically, not clapping at all. Just staring at the painting, then at her, his face a study in dawning comprehension. He'd thrown away a diamond because he'd convinced himself it was glass. Dante appeared beside her on stage. He didn't take the microphone. He simply looked at the Madonna with an expression Elena had never seen on a man's face before. Reverence. Extraordinary, he said quietly, then turned to the audience. I don't make public appearances. I prefer privacy, business conducted in appropriate venues. But tonight required an exception. His voice carried effortlessly, resonant and commanding. 18 months ago, I acquired this painting at auction. The previous owner kept it in storage for 30 years, too ashamed of its damaged state to display it, too sentimental to destroy it. He called it a cautionary tale about failed investments. Dante's eyes found Elena's. I call it a crime of perception. This painting was never ruined. It was waiting. Waiting for someone with the skill and empathy to see its truth beneath accumulated damage. I found Ms. Moretti through her work on a minor Venetian piece. Her technical analysis was flawless, but it was her philosophical analysis that made me certain. She wrote that restoration is not erasure of history, it's revelation of soul. She understood that broken things aren't worthless. They're stories. He turned back to the audience. Ms. Moretti gave the Madonna her voice back. But more than that, she proved that dismissing something as irredeemable says more about the dismisser's vision than the thing dismissed. His hand found hers, lifted it, kissed her knuckles with old-world formality that somehow felt intimate. Thank you, Elena, for your gift. The world is brighter for your work. The applause was deafening. Elena stood frozen, Dante's lips' warmth still burning on her skin, and felt something fundamental shift inside her. This wasn't Marcus's calculated public praise designed to make himself look generous. This was recognition, real, unfiltered recognition of her worth. As they descended the stage, people swarmed, curators, collectors, critics. Business cards thrust forward, voices overlapping. Ms. Moretti, I have a Caravaggio, representing the Castellano private collection. My client in Florence would pay. Dante's presence created space, not aggressively, just by existing. His hand never left her back. Ms. Moretti's calendar is managed through my office, he said smoothly. Ms. Chen will collect your information. He guided Elena toward a side door, away from the chaos. They emerged into a quiet gallery corridor, the gala's noise fading to a distant hum. Cool air, silence, space to breathe. Thank you, Elena whispered. That was overwhelming, terrifying. Good. Dante turned to face her fully. You should be terrified. You just became visible to people who notice everything. Your life changed tonight, Elena, permanently. Is that why you brought me? To change my life? I brought you because your work deserved recognition. What happens after? That's your choice. But his eyes said something different. Something that made Elena's pulse flutter. There's a terrace, Dante said. Would you like some air? She nodded. He led her through another door onto a private balcony overlooking the city. Below, Manhattan glittered like a promise. Dante shrugged off his tuxedo jacket and draped it over her shoulders without asking. It smelled like him, cedar and smoke and something uniquely male. Better? Much. Elena pulled the jacket tighter. Dante, why did you really hire me? You could have had any restorer in the world. I wanted the best. I got you. But you knew about Marcus, about the divorce, about him systematically destroying your confidence while profiting from your invisible labor. Yes, I knew. Dante's jaw tightened. And I hired you anyway, not as charity. As recognition of talent he was too insecure to acknowledge. That sounds like rescue. Does it? Dante moved closer, not touching but close enough that Elena felt his warmth. Tell me, Elena, did I restore your Madonna, or did you? I did. Exactly. I provided resources and space. You provided genius. I don't rescue people. I create conditions where capable people can rescue themselves. His dark eyes searched hers. You didn't need saving. You needed someone to stop standing in your way. Elena's breath caught. Is that all I am? A restoration project? No. The word came out rough. You're the woman who sends 15-page emails about underpainting techniques at 3 a.m. because you're too excited to sleep. Who talks to 400-year-old artists like they're friends. Who sees beauty in broken things everyone else abandoned. He reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering. You're extraordinary, and I'm just the lucky bastard who gets to watch you remember it. Then Marcus's voice shattered the moment. Kathy, we need to talk. Marcus stormed onto the terrace, Vanessa tottering behind in her ridiculous heels. Dante's jacket still draped Elena's shoulders, warm and possessive in a way that made Marcus's face contort. Kathy, enough of this charade. Not asking. Demanding. The voice he'd used for 6 years to remind her of her place. Dante didn't move, but something shifted in his posture. Predator, recognizing threat. The lady's name is Elena. Stay out of this. Marcus's eyes were wild, desperate. Kathy, I know you're hurt. I know the divorce was hard, but this... He gestured at Dante like he was a piece of furniture. Parading around with some... Careful. Dante's voice dropped to something dark and smooth. Choose your next words very carefully. Marcus faltered but pushed forward. You think I don't see what this is? You restored his painting. Now you're his new toy. How long before he gets bored, Kathy? A month? 2? Then what? Another divorce? Another studio apartment? Another pathetic attempt to... Stop! Elena's voice cut through his tirade. Quiet but absolute. You don't get to do this anymore. Do what? Care about you? I'm trying to protect you from making a mistake. You're trying to control me. Elena stepped forward, out from under Dante's jacket. Standing on her own. You spent 6 years telling me my passion was worthless, my work was a hobby, my dreams were embarrassing. You took every opportunity to make me small. And now... Her voice strengthened. Now that someone finally sees my worth, you can't stand it. Vanessa grabbed Marcus's arm. Baby, everyone's staring. Let's just go. He shook her off, reached for Elena. Kathy, don't be stupid. Dante moved, not violently. Just moved between them, and suddenly Marcus's hand met solid chest instead of Elena's arm. She asked you to stop. Dante's voice was conversational, almost pleasant, which somehow made it more terrifying. I'm asking you once. Walk away. Or what? Marcus tried for bravado. You'll have me killed? Is that how your family handles inconvenience? No. Dante smiled, and it was beautiful and terrible. I'll let Elena finish destroying you herself. But I'll make sure everyone watches. Then he turned to Elena, his back to Marcus. The ultimate dismissal. He cupped her face gently, thumb brushing her cheekbone. You deserve better than this conversation. Say the word, and we leave. But Elena was staring past him at Marcus, really seeing him for the first time. A small man, insecure, empty. You called my work a dusty hobby, she said quietly. Said I talked about dead artists like they were friends. Made me feel ashamed for loving something you couldn't understand. I was trying to help you focus on our future. You were erasing me. She stepped closer, and Marcus actually retreated. But I'm still here, stronger than I was with you, happier than I ever was in your penthouse. And tonight, that dusty hobby was unveiled in front of everyone you've spent years trying to impress. She let that sink in, watched him calculate, watched him realize. We're done, Marcus. We've been done. Go home to Vanessa. Build whatever life makes you happy. But leave me out of it. Kathy? Dante moved again, this time pulling Elena back against his chest, his arms circling her waist, protective, possessive, unmistakably claiming. Her name, he said softly, is Elena. Use it, or don't speak to her again. The photographer's flash from the doorway was blinding. Someone had followed them out, captured the moment. Elena in Dante's arms, Marcus's face twisted in impotent rage. Jesus Christ, Vanessa hissed. Marcus, we're leaving. Now. She grabbed his arm and hauled him toward the door. He went, stumbling, looking back once with something that might have been regret, or might have been rage. Elena didn't care enough to distinguish. When they were gone, Dante's arms loosened, but didn't release. Are you all right? Elena leaned back into his warmth, letting herself be held. I think so. You were magnificent. I was terrified. That's what made it magnificent. He turned her to face him, hands on her shoulders. Elena, what happens now? It's going to get complicated. That photo will be everywhere by morning. People will talk. Some will assume things about us, about why I hired you, about, are they wrong? The question escaped before she could stop it. To assume? Dante went very still. What do you mean? This. She gestured between them. Whatever this is, did you plan it? The public kiss to humiliate Marcus, the dramatic rescue, the no. Firm, absolute. I plan to unveil your work, to give you the recognition you deserved. Everything else, his thumb traced her jaw. Everything else is just me being unable to stay away from the most fascinating woman I've met in a decade. That's a line. It's the truth. He stepped back, giving her space. But if you want lines, I have better ones. Come to dinner, tomorrow. Let me take you somewhere quiet where we can talk without interruptions or photographers or ex-husbands. Is that wise? Probably not. His smile was crooked, almost boyish. But I stopped being wise the moment I read your email about how the Madonna's grief lived in the negative space between her reaching fingers. Elena's heart did something complicated in her chest. That was 2 years ago. I know, I've been patient. I'm very good at patience. He reached up, retrieved his jacket from where it had fallen on the balcony floor, draped it over her shoulders again. But, Elena, I'm not good at pretending I don't want something when I do. And I want to know you. Not as my restorer, as Elena. The woman who talks to paintings and sends me essays at 3 a.m. and looks at broken things like they're treasures. What if I'm too broken? Then we'll be broken together. He touched her face again, and Elena leaned into it without meaning to. Say yes. One dinner. If you hate it, I'll never ask again. She should say no, should run, should... Yes. His smile could have lit the city. Tomorrow, 7. I'll send a car. I can take a cab. Elena, his voice went soft. Let me do this. Let me give you one night where someone treats you the way you deserve. And God help her, she wanted that. Wanted it desperately. Okay. Elena didn't sleep. She spent the night scrolling through photos of herself in Dante's arms, articles dissecting who she was, speculation about the Lupo family's newest acquisition. By dawn, Sophia had called 12 times. Have you lost your mind? Sophia didn't bother with hello. Dante Lupo, do you know what his family? I know. Do you? Because I've spent 5 years investigating organized crime, and the Lupos aren't movie mobsters, Lena. They're real, dangerous. People who cross them don't just lose business deals. He's been nothing but kind to me. So far. Sophia's voice softened. I know Marcus destroyed you. I know you've been lonely. But this isn't the answer. Maybe I'm not looking for answers. Maybe I'm just tired of being afraid. After hanging up, Elena stood at her window watching sunrise paint the city gold. Her phone buzzed. Dante. Wear whatever makes you feel like yourself. Tonight is about knowing you, not impressing anyone. At 6:30 p.m., she chose black pants, the cream silk blouse her nonna had sent from Sicily, her restoration bracelet. Simple, true. At 7 exactly, her buzzer rang. Not a town car. A Navy sedan with an older driver who introduced himself as Vincent. Mr. Dante's had me driving for the family 30 years, Vincent said, opening her door. He told me to tell you he trusts me with his mother, and now he's trusting me with you. The specificity felt deliberate, reassuring. They drove to Carroll Gardens, stopping at a brownstone with warm windows and no sign. Dante opened the door before she could knock, and Elena's breath caught. No tuxedo. Dark slacks, white shirt with sleeves rolled to his elbows, exposing forearms corded with muscle and scattered with scars. He looked dangerous and domestic simultaneously, wolf in a kitchen. You came. Relief in his voice. You thought I wouldn't? I thought you'd Google me and decide safety mattered more than curiosity. He stepped aside, gesturing her in. I'm glad you're braver than that. Inside smelled like garlic and tomatoes and something baking. Exposed brick, worn wooden floors, copper pots hanging in the kitchen. A home, not a showpiece. My grandmother's house. She's in Sicily until spring, but she left strict instructions that if I wanted to impress someone important, I was to use her kitchen. Apparently my apartment is cold as a morgue. Elena laughed, surprised, genuine. You cook? Nonna insisted all her grandchildren learn. She said men who can't feed themselves are useless. He led her to a small dining room set for 2. I'm not a chef, but I won't poison you. They ate pasta he'd made by hand, simple, perfect, the sauce bright with fresh basil. Elena watched his hands as he served her. Capable hands, scarred hands, hands that had probably done terrible things and were now carefully twirling spaghetti on her plate. Ask me, Dante said after they'd eaten in comfortable silence. Whatever you need to know. I promised honesty. Elena set down her wine. Are you a criminal? By whose definition? The law's? Probably. My family's? No. He didn't flinch. I follow our rules, protect our people. Sometimes that means operating outside legal boundaries. Have you killed anyone? Yes. The word hung between them. No justification. No excuse. Does that change things? He asked. It should. Elena knew it should. But she thought of Marcus's legal cruelty, his perfectly lawful destruction of her confidence. Violence came in many forms. Were they going to hurt people you protect? Yes. Then no, it doesn't change things. She met his eyes. But I need to understand what I'm walking into. What being with you means. It means 3 a.m. phone calls sometimes. Business that can't wait. People watching us, judging us, using us to position themselves. He reached across the table, took her hand. It means danger occasionally, complications frequently. But Elena, it also means protection, resources, freedom to work without worrying about rent or Marcus or anyone who tries to make you small. That sounds like a transaction, does it? His thumb traced circles on her palm. What if I just want to know the woman who writes poetry about pigment oxidation? Who talks to dead artists? Who sees worth in things everyone abandoned? Why me, really? Dante stood, pulling her up with him. Come here. He led her upstairs, opened a door. Elena gasped. A studio. Perfect. North-facing windows, custom lighting, work tables with magnifying equipment, cabinets full of supplies she recognized from her wish lists, everything she'd dreamed of. My grandmother's sewing room. I converted it. For you. Dante, this is practical. He opened a cabinet, revealing pigments, oils, tools. Your Red Hook studio isn't secure or climate-controlled. If you're going to work on the commissions you'll get after last night, you need proper space. This is me investing in your talent, not buying you. Elena's eyes burned. What do you want in return? Dinner, once a week. Let me get to know you. Let me show you who I really am. He turned her to face him. I'm not asking for forever, Elena. Just for a chance to see if this is real. She looked around, the space, the light, the freedom it represented, then at Dante, whose dark eyes held steady on hers. Once a week, and I keep my apartment, my autonomy. You'll never belong to anyone. I want you to choose me. There's a difference. Okay. The word came out breathless. Let's see where this goes. His smile was brilliant and brief. Then his phone buzzed, and buzzed again. His expression darkened. What's wrong? Castellano wants a meeting. Tomorrow. He wants to meet you. Dante's jaw tightened. Someone told him about us. Who's Castellano? Trouble. Dante pulled her close. The kind that doesn't care about money or reason. Elena, I need you to trust me. Whatever happens tomorrow, stay close. Can you do that? She should ask more. Should demand explanations. But something in his eyes, fear, real fear, stopped her. Yes. Thank you. He kissed her forehead, lingering. I'll protect you. I swear it. As Vincent drove her home, Elena touched her forehead where Dante's lips had been. She'd said yes to something she didn't fully understand. But for the first time in years, she'd said yes to something she actually wanted. That had to count for something. The car that picked Elena up wasn't Vincent's sedan. It was armored. She heard the heavy thunk of bulletproof doors closing. Dante sat beside her, silent, his hand finding hers in the darkness. I'm scared, she whispered. Good. Fear keeps you smart. He squeezed her fingers. Inside, let me do the talking. Castellano will test you. He'll try to see if you're strong enough for this world. Just be honest. He respects truth more than performance. And if he says no? Dante's jaw tightened. Then I tell him to go to hell, and we deal with the consequences. What consequences? War, maybe, or worse, disappointment. Victor Castellano helped raise me after my father died. His opinion matters. Dante turned to face her. But Elena, if he makes you choose between this world and your safety, I'll choose your safety. Always. They pulled up to a restaurant in Little Italy, closed, but light spilled from windows. Men in dark suits stood outside, positioned strategic, watching. Inside, the dining room was empty except for one table. An older man sat there, 70 maybe, with white hair and eyes that missed nothing. A woman Elena's age sat across from him, beautiful and sharp. Victor Castellano stood as they approached. Dante, it's been too long. His eyes shifted to Elena. And you must be the artist. Sicilian name. Good. We need more of our own. My nonna was from Palermo, Elena said. Palermo! His face softened. My mother's people. Sit, sit. We're family here. Wine appeared without asking. Expensive. Red. So, Castellano's attention focused like a laser. You were married before, to Marcus Ashford. He left you for a younger woman, humiliated you publicly. Elena felt Dante tense beside her. This was the test. He did, Elena said quietly. But it freed me to discover who I was without him. Sometimes the worst things are gifts. Castellano's eyebrows rose. A philosopher. I like that. He leaned forward. But here's what I need to know, Ms. Moretti. Dante is important, not just to his family, but to the balance we've all worked to maintain. When a man in his position claims a woman publicly, it creates expectations. Are you prepared for what that means? I don't know what it means, Elena admitted. Yesterday I was a struggling artist. Today I'm being interviewed about whether I'm worthy of... She stopped. Started again. I'm doing my best to understand, but I won't pretend to know things I don't. The woman across the table laughed. I like her, Papa. She's honest. Castellano studied Elena for a long moment. Your ex-husband called my nephew's lawyer. Asked if there was a way to handle Dante's relationship with you. Said he was worried about you being taken advantage of. Dante's hand clenched into a fist. Elena covered it with hers. Marcus is my past, Elena said firmly. Whatever he's doing now doesn't concern me. It concerns all of us. The woman, Sophia, Elena realized, interjected. He's trying to paint Dante as the villain and himself as the protective ex-husband. If he keeps talking to connected people, someone will shut him up, permanently. The casual way she said it sent ice down Elena's spine. I'll handle Marcus, Dante said, voice carrying an edge that made the temperature drop. No. Castellano's voice was sharp. He's our problem if he's talking to lawyers with connections. I'll send word he's off limits. But Dante, you keep your woman safe. If something happens to her, people will ask questions we don't want asked. The weight of it crashed over Elena. She wasn't just dating Dante. She was a complication in a world with rules she didn't understand. I should go, she said suddenly, standing. I need to think. Elena, Dante started to rise. No, please. She looked at Castellano. Thank you for your blessing, but I need to decide if I actually want it. She walked out before anyone could stop her. The night air hit her face, sharp and cold. One of the suited men moved toward her, but a word from inside stopped him. She made it half a block before Dante caught up. Elena, wait. Did you know? She whirled on him. That Marcus was talking to people? I found out an hour before dinner last night. That's why I needed you close, to keep you safe. Safe? She laughed bitterly. Dante, Victor just said I can't leave your world cleanly, that I'm a target, that Marcus talking to the wrong people could get him killed. How is any of that safe? Because I will protect you. He grabbed her shoulders. I know this is more than you signed up for, but I swear on everything I am. Nobody touches you while I'm alive. What happens if you're not alive? What if we don't work out? Dante's face was anguished. I don't have a good answer. Once you're in, you're in. But Elena, you were never staying invisible after last night. The only difference is whether you're alone or with someone who has the power to keep you safe. Vincent appeared with the car. Dante opened the door, waiting. I'll take you home. You don't have to decide anything tonight. Just let me make sure you get there safely. Elena looked at him, fear and determination warring in his face. At the world she was suddenly, terrifyingly part of. She got in the car. At her door, Dante said, Whatever you decide, the studio is yours. The job offers are yours. Your career is yours. Those don't change. But I'm still marked, aren't I? Yes, he admitted. I'm sorry for that. But I'd rather you be marked and protected than unmarked and vulnerable. Give me a week to think. Pain flashed across his face, but he nodded. 1 week. But if anything happens, if Marcus contacts you, if anyone makes you uncomfortable, you call me. Promise. I promise. She closed the door and leaned against it, shaking. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I know what you're going through. If you want to talk, call me. Sophia Castellano. Then Dante. Sleep well. You're braver than you know. Elena stared at both messages. Outside her window, a car was parked across the street. Someone watching. Protecting or threatening. She didn't know which. Maybe in this world they were the same thing. Marcus Ashford's penthouse felt like a mausoleum at 2 a.m. Third scotch in hand, he refreshed page 6 obsessively. Elena and that mobster. Elena looking confident, beautiful, wanted. Elena winning. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Ashford, Anthony Castellano. I believe you spoke with my lawyer about a mutual concern. Marcus straightened. Yes, I'm worried about my ex-wife. You thought you'd use my family's connections to interfere in Dante Lupo's personal life. Not a question. Unwise. I'm trying to protect. You're trying to control a woman who left you. Anthony's tone hardened. Here's what happens. You forget Elena Moretti exists. Stop calling lawyers. Stop talking about the Lupo family. Become very quiet. You can't. I can. I know about the Henderson account you're skimming. The SEC inquiry your firm buried. The prenup violations. Should I continue? Marcus's blood turned to ice. How? We know everything. You became our concern when you said Dante Lupo's name. Walk away clean or I release everything to federal prosecutors. Your choice. The line went dead. Marcus sat shaking. Vanessa appeared in silk, annoyed. Baby, come to bed. You've been obsessing for days. He looked at her. Beautiful, vapid, interchangeable. He'd left Elena for this. Get out. What? Get out of my apartment. We're done. She left in fury. Marcus sat alone, staring at his wedding photo, Elena looking at him like he'd hung the moon. He'd had everything and thrown it away. Across the city, Elena woke to her phone buzzing. News alert. Art World shocked. Metropolitan Museum offers Pierce Restoration senior position. The Met wanted her, not as a contractor, as senior conservator, a position people spent decades working toward. Sophia called immediately. The Met. Do you know what this means? Dante arranged it. Does it matter? It's the Met, Lena. It matters because I don't know if I earned it or if it's another cage. Sophia went quiet. Maybe he's just opening doors that should have been open all along. Maybe he's breaking the cage, not building one. Elena stared at her small apartment. Taking the job meant accepting that her life had changed, that there was no going back to invisible safety. Her phone buzzed. Sofia Castellano. Coffee? We should talk about what loving a man from our world really means. No bullshit. Elena typed back. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. That night she sketched, not restoration plans, but creation. A woman emerging from shadow, reaching toward light that might be salvation or fire. She photographed it, sent it to Dante. This is how I feel. Caught between versions of myself. His response came an hour later. Both versions survive. That's the point. You don't have to choose between who you were and who you're becoming. You can be all of it. Then, I didn't arrange the Met job. They approached you independently. I asked them to wait until after your week, but they jumped early. Call them if you don't believe me. Elena called. The director confirmed. They'd been tracking her work for months. Ms. Moretti, I've been in this field 30 years. I know talent. Whether you're dating Dante Lupo or a plumber, your work speaks for itself. Something cracked open in Elena's chest. Permission to want herself. Coffee with Sophia happened at a tiny cafe in Greenwich Village. Sophia arrived in jeans, looking nothing like the polished woman from the restaurant. So, you're freaking out. Is it obvious? You have the look. I had it too. Sophia leaned forward. Here's what nobody tells you. It's not about violence or illegal stuff. That's scary, sure, but you adjust. The hard part is isolation. You can't talk to old friends because how do you explain your boyfriend's business meeting might end in someone getting hurt? The only people you can trust are family. How do you handle it? I built my own life. I'm a psychiatrist. I work with at-risk kids. The family respects it because I don't try to change them. Sophia's eyes were kind. But Dante isn't my husband. My husband is a soldier. Dante is command. The pressure is different. The danger is different. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to prepare you. Sophia reached across the table. Dante's been alone since his father died. He carries everything. Built walls so high nobody could get through. Then he met you. For the first time in 5 years, those walls cracked. He talks about you like you're air. She paused. So yeah, I have a stake in this. I want him happy, but not at the cost of breaking you. What if I break him? Then he'll survive. But Elena, don't choose him out of fear or gratitude or because the alternative is being alone. Choose him because you actually want the life he can offer, the real life. They talked for 2 hours. Sophia was brutally honest about challenges and rewards, the 3 a.m. calls, the canceled vacations, but also the fierce loyalty, the way family became everything. When they parted, Sophia hugged her. Whatever you decide, you have my number, and the fact you're taking this seriously, that tells me you might actually be strong enough. Elena walked home through Manhattan streets, 4 days left to decide. Her phone buzzed. Dante. No pressure. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. That drawing you sent? I'm having it framed. It's the most honest thing anyone's ever given me. Elena stood on a corner watching the city move. Somewhere Dante was thinking about her. Marcus was regretting his choices. The Met was waiting. And she was finally the one with power to decide. For the first time in her life, Elena Moretti wasn't an accessory or victim. She was the author of her own story. Day 5 arrived with rain hammering Elena's windows. She'd been working since dawn on a water-damaged portrait, losing herself in familiar rhythms. At noon, her buzzer rang. A woman in postal uniform with certified mail. Elena signed. The return address made her hands shake. Henderson and Cross Legal Services, Marcus's firm. Ms. Moretti, this letter serves as formal notification that Mr. Marcus Ashford is filing an appeal of your divorce settlement based on newly discovered evidence of asset concealment and fraud. We have documentation suggesting you maintained a secret restoration business during marriage and failed to disclose income. Additionally, Mr. Ashford is concerned about your current associations and believes your involvement with known criminal elements may compromise safety of mutual acquaintances. He is prepared to provide testimony to federal investigators regarding your knowledge of illegal activities. Every word was a lie. She'd had no business during marriage. Marcus had made sure of that. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Elena Moretti? Special Agent David Park, FBI. I need to ask questions about your relationship with Dante Lupo. Her blood turned to ice. What is this about? We're conducting investigation into Lupo family operations. Your name came up as potential witness. I'd like to schedule voluntary interview. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. at our New York field office. Unless you'd prefer we make it less voluntary. I need a lawyer. People who get lawyers when we ask simple questions make us wonder what they're hiding. Are you hiding something? No, Then tomorrow, 10 a.m. He hung up. Elena stood frozen, the letter crumpling in her shaking hand. This was Marcus. He'd ignored warnings, involved federal authorities. She called Dante. Elena, what's wrong? She told him everything. Background noise shifted as he moved somewhere private. When she finished, silence. Dante, lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The FBI said, Elena, please, trust me completely. Just this once. She locked the door and waited, heart hammering. Dante arrived in 18 minutes with 2 men, one older in a gray suit, one younger with a briefcase. They swept her apartment efficiently. It's clean, the younger man reported. Dante pulled Elena aside, hands gentle despite fury in his eyes. First, you're safe. Second, the letter is a bluff. Third, the FBI call. He paused. That wasn't the FBI. Elena's world tilted. What? The older man stepped forward. Ms. Moretti, I'm Robert Fiorelli, attorney. We verified with bureau contacts. No Agent David Park. No investigation targeting you. Someone is impersonating federal law enforcement, which is a serious crime. Marcus, Elena whispered. He's trying to manipulate you into a compromising position. Fiorelli said. If you'd gone to that address, someone would have recorded statements to use against you or Mr. Lupo. Dante's phone buzzed. His expression went dark. We found him. Hotel bar in Midtown. Drunk, celebrating. Elena saw the predator emerging. Don't. Whatever you're thinking, don't. He threatened you. Impersonated federal agents. And if you do something to him, it proves everything he's been saying. Elena grabbed his arm. That you're dangerous. That I'm not safe. Don't give him that. So I do nothing. No, we destroy him legally. Elena turned to Fiorelli. That fake FBI call, that's federal crime, right? 5 years minimum if prosecuted. Then we prosecute. We document everything. We let the law handle this. She looked at Dante. Can you do that? Let the law handle it instead of your way? Dante studied her face. Finally nodded. Fiorelli, file police report. Get call records. Contact the real FBI. I want this official, documented, prosecuted. After the men left, Dante pulled Elena close. He's panicking because he's losing. But Elena, this doesn't end with Marcus. The moment you chose to be with me, you became visible to people who notice everything. This is my world's reality. I know. She did. Sophia's words echoed. Choose him because you want the life, not the fantasy. I'm not asking you to decide now. You still have 2 days, but I needed you to see the ugly side, the side where people you used to know become weapons. Stay tonight, Elena said suddenly. Not like that. Just stay. I don't want to be alone. Dante looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. They sat on her worn couch, not touching but close. Rain drummed against windows. When I was 16, Dante said quietly, my father took me to a real meeting. I watched him negotiate with men who would have killed him if he showed weakness. Afterward, I asked if he was ever afraid. He paused. He said fear was the price of caring about anything. The more you love, the more you fear losing it. But loving nothing, that's not living. That's existing. Elena's hand found his. Are you afraid now? Terrified. Because I care about you in a way I haven't cared about anyone in years. That gives you power to hurt me that nobody else has. His hand tightened on hers. So yes, I'm afraid. But I'd rather be afraid and alive than safe and empty. I have 2 days left. I know. I think I already know my answer. Dante's hand squeezed hers. Don't tell me yet. Take your 2 days. Be sure. Because once you say yes, I'm not letting you go easily. I'm not Marcus. I don't quit when things get hard. They sat together as rain washed the city clean, both knowing the decision was already made, but honoring the ritual of time anyway. The 2 days passed like water through fingers. Elena walked the city, sat in the studio Dante built, had long conversations with Sophia, who oscillated between support and terror. On the morning of the 7th day, Elena woke knowing her answer had been there all along. She just needed to stop being afraid of it. She texted Dante, "Tonight, your grandmother's house. I have my answer." His response was immediate. "I'll be waiting." At 7 p.m., Vincent picked her up. He didn't ask questions, just gave her an encouraging nod that steadied her racing heart. The brownstone glowed warm in the evening darkness. Dante opened the door before she could knock, and the look on his face, hope and fear and desperate restraint, nearly undid her. "Come in," he said quietly. The dining room was set like before, but on the mantel sat her charcoal drawing, professionally framed. "You actually kept it," she whispered. "I told you I would." Dante stood beside her, both of them staring at the image. "It's the truest thing anyone's given me. I look at it every morning and remember that bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's reaching anyway." Elena turned to face him. "I have conditions." Something flickered in his expression, attention, respect. "Tell me." "I take the Met job. That's mine. My career, my reputation. You can support it, but you don't control it." "Agreed. I keep my apartment, not because I don't trust you, but because I need to know I chose to be with you, not that I had nowhere else to go." "Agreed. And you don't protect me from the truth. No sanitizing, no hiding ugly parts. If something dangerous is happening, I need to know." Dante was quiet. "That one's harder. Every instinct says to shield you. Then fight that instinct. If you hide things, eventually I'll find out anyway and wonder what else you've been lying about. I'd rather be scared and informed than comfortable and blind." He reached for her hands. "You're right. I promise to try. But some things I can't tell you, not because I don't trust you, but because knowing puts you at legal risk. If investigators come, I need you to honestly say you don't know details. That's fair. We figure out the line together. Deal?" "Deal." His hands tightened. "Is that a yes? You're saying yes?" "I'm saying I want to try. I want to see if we can build something real. I want Sunday dinners and honest conversations in the studio you built. I want—" Her voice cracked. "I want to stop being afraid of wanting things." Dante pulled her close, forehead resting against hers. "These 7 days felt like 7 years. I was terrified you'd walk away. I almost did, a dozen times. But then I'd remember how you looked at my Madonna, how you saw beauty where everyone else saw ruin." She pulled back to meet his eyes. "You make me feel like a masterpiece, Dante. I've spent too many years being treated like garbage to walk away from that." He kissed her then, not the performative public gesture from the gala, but something private and profound, a promise sealed without words. When they broke apart, both were breathless. "I have something for you." Dante pulled a small box from his pocket. Not an engagement ring, not yet, but something important. Inside was a key on a silver chain. Key to what? Everything. My house, office, the studio, this brownstone. Everywhere I am, you're welcome. No locked doors between us. He fastened it around her neck. "You can take it off whenever you want, but as long as you wear it, you're telling the world you're mine and I'm yours. Equal claim." Elena touched the key, feeling its weight. "Your family will expect things. They'll expect respect. Beyond that, be yourself. Sophia already loves you. Victor respects strength more than compliance. You stood up to me about Marcus. That impressed him more than any obedience would." They ate dinner slowly, talking about futures and logistics. At 11 p.m., Dante's phone buzzed. His expression shifted, satisfaction mixed with something darker. "Marcus?" Elena asked. "His firm fired him. The real FBI contacted them about the impersonation. He's being investigated by the state bar. Might lose his license." Elena waited for satisfaction. Instead, she felt only tired sadness. "He destroyed himself. He destroyed himself trying to destroy you. That's different." Dante set the phone down. "Do you feel bad for him?" "No, but I feel bad about the years I wasted, and I feel bad that he's so empty inside he'd rather annihilate himself than accept I moved on." She touched the key. "But mostly I just feel done. He's a closed chapter." Dante's phone rang again. He frowned. "Family business, nothing urgent, but I need to meet my uncle tomorrow afternoon. Would you want to come? Meet more of the family?" This was it, the real beginning. "Yes," Elena said. "I want to meet them." Dante's relief was palpable. "They're going to interrogate you, Uncle Marco especially. My cousin Gabriella will try to get your life story in 15 minutes. I survived Marcus's family Christmas dinners. I think I can handle yours." Marcus's family didn't have connections to organized crime. No, they just had passive-aggressive comments about my career and suggestions I'd make beautiful babies. Honestly, I'm not sure which is worse. They laughed, and the tension broke. At midnight, Vincent returned. Dante walked Elena to the car, hand warm at her back. "Thank you," he said at the door, "for choosing this, for choosing me. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible." Elena kissed him softly. "I'm still scared, but I'm done letting fear make my decisions. Fear keeps you alert. Just don't let it keep you alone." He touched the key at her throat. "Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Wear something comfortable. My family is allergic to pretension." Elena wore the key to bed that night, woke with it pressing against her heart. Tomorrow, she'd meet the family. Tomorrow, her new life would truly begin. And for the first time in years, she wasn't terrified. She was ready. Sunday arrived bright and cold. Elena chose dark jeans, a soft cashmere sweater her nonna had sent, and boots. The key hung around her neck. She'd worn it to sleep, woken with it warm against her skin. Dante picked her up at 3 p.m. in an older Mercedes sedan. "We don't do flashy for family dinners. Nonna thinks it's vulgar." They drove to Bay Ridge, stopping at a Victorian house with a wraparound porch. Kids played in the yard, screaming, laughing, alive. 2 women watched from the porch steps. "My cousin Gabriella," Dante said, pointing, "and her sister Maria. Fair warning, they're loud, nosy, and will ask everything from your blood type to your thoughts on children. Just be honest." Elena's nerves jangled. "What if they don't like me? Then we figure it out. But Elena, I wouldn't bring you here if I thought that would happen." He squeezed her hand. "They're going to love you because I love you. And yes, I know that's the first time I've said it out loud. And yes, I mean it. And no, you don't have to say it back until you're ready." He'd said it so casually, sandwiched between warnings about nosy cousins. "You love me? Probably have since you sent me that 15-page analysis at 3 a.m. You were so excited you forgot to be professional. It was the most honest thing I'd ever read." He kissed her knuckles. "Come on." The moment they stepped out, Chaos erupted. Kids swarmed Dante, climbing on him, demanding he settle some dispute. The women rose, eyes assessing Elena. "So this is her," Gabriella said, coming down the steps. Beautiful in an earthy way, minimal makeup, laugh lines. "The woman who got through my cousin's titanium walls." "Hi, I'm Elena." "We know. We've been Googling you for a week." Gabriella grinned. "Don't look terrified. We're friendly, mostly. Come inside. Nona's been cooking since dawn." Inside smelled like tomato sauce and garlic and something sweet baking. A massive table was set for at least 20. In the kitchen, an elderly woman, barely 5 feet tall, stirred a pot, barking orders in Italian. "Nonna," Dante called. "This is Elena." The old woman turned, sharp eyes fixing on Elena. She looked her up and down, then said something in rapid Italian. Dante laughed. "She says you're too skinny, you need to eat, and she likes your bracelet." "Tell her thank you. It was my grandmother's." Dante translated. The old woman's face softened immediately. She came over, took Elena's hand, spoke again. "She says any woman who honors her grandmother will honor family. You passed the first test." Dinner was beautiful chaos. 23 people crammed around the table. Dante's uncles, cousins, their spouses and children. They talked over each other, argued about everything from politics to whether Nonna's sauce was better this year. It always was, and treated Elena like she'd always been there. Uncle Marco sat across from her. Maybe 60, gray hair, eyes like flint. "So, Elena, you restore art." "Yes, sir." "Make good money?" "Marco," Gabriella hissed. "Don't be rude." "I'm being practical. My nephew is wealthy. I need to know if she's with him for money or for him." Elena set down her fork. "With respect, sir, I was offered a position at the Metropolitan Museum before Dante and I were officially together. I have my own career, income, apartment. I'm with your nephew because he makes me feel like I matter. Money has nothing to do with it." Marco stared, then smiled, real and warm. "Good. That's the right answer. Welcome to the family, Elena." The table erupted in approval. Sophia raised her glass. "To Elena, for having the guts to tell Marco to mind his business." As dinner wound down and kids fell asleep on couches, Dante pulled Elena onto the back porch. The yard was dark, stars visible despite city lights. "You survived," he said. "Your family is wonderful. They loved you. Nonna asked when we're getting married. I told her to mind her business, but she said if I don't lock you down, someone smarter will steal you." Elena laughed. "Is she always that direct?" "Always. She has instincts about people. She also said you have sad eyes but a strong heart, that the sadness will fade, but the strength is permanent." He turned Elena to face him. "I think she's right. I do have sad eyes. You have eyes that have seen pain and chosen to keep going. That's not sad. That's brave." He kissed her forehead. "Thank you for coming today, for meeting them, for saying yes to all of this." They stood together in the darkness, and Elena felt something settle in her chest. Belonging. "I love you too," she said quietly. Dante went still. "Say that again." "I love you. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you kissed my hand at the gala. Maybe when you built me a studio. Maybe watching you argue about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But I do. I love you." He pulled her close, and they stood on the porch while inside his family laughed and planned next Sunday's dinner, which Elena was now expected to attend. This was home, not a place. People. Marcus had given her a gilded cage. Dante was giving her wings. 3 months later, Elena stood in the Metropolitan Museum's conservation lab, working on a damaged Caravaggio, her first major project as senior conservator. The work was meticulous, demanding, exactly what she'd dreamed of. Her phone buzzed. "Dante. Dinner at Nonna's tonight. She's making your favorite. Also, Marco wants to know if you've convinced me to watch more art documentaries." Elena smiled, typed back. "Tell him we watched one on Vermeer last week. He says that doesn't count because I fell asleep 20 minutes in. You were tired. You'd been working since 4 a.m. Tell that to Marco. She returned to the painting. Through the lab's windows, Manhattan stretched out below, the same city she'd viewed from Marcus's penthouse years ago, but different now. Not a kingdom to be conquered, a world of infinite possibility. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Elena Moretti? A woman's voice, nervous. Yes? My name is Sarah Chen. I was married to a man like yours, your ex-husband. He controlled everything, made me feel small. I left him 6 months ago and I saw your story online. I know this is strange, but I wanted to ask, how did you do it? How did you find the courage? Elena's throat tightened. She thought of that day 2 years ago when she'd stood in her empty studio with nothing but crushing doubt. It wasn't courage at first, Elena said honestly. It was survival. One day at a time, one painting, one small choice to keep going. The courage came later when I realized I could choose what came next. Did you ever think about going back? Once or twice. But then I'd remember who I'd become to make that marriage work. How small I'd made myself. And I realized I'd rather be alone and whole than partnered and hollow. Sarah was quiet. Thank you. That helps. And congratulations on the Met position. After they hung up, Elena sat with the weight of that conversation. Her story wasn't just hers anymore. It was proof that survival was possible. At 6 p.m., Elena packed up and headed out. Dante waited outside the museum in the Mercedes, leaning against the car with 2 coffee cups. Thought you might need caffeine before Nona's interrogation about wedding dates, he said, handing her one. She asked again. She's relentless. I told her we're taking our time, and she said time is for people who don't know what they want. Elena kissed him. Thank you for not rushing me. Elena, you spent 6 years in a marriage that crushed you. I'm not pressuring you into another commitment before you're ready. We have time. They drove to Bay Ridge, windows down, city sounds washing over them. At a red light, Dante took her hand. I got news today. Marcus lost his law license. The state bar ruled on the impersonation case. Elena absorbed this. How do you feel? I don't feel anything. He did it to himself. Dante glanced at her. How do you feel? Sad, mostly. Not for him. For the waste of it. He had everything and destroyed it because he couldn't stand to see me happy. She squeezed his hand. But also grateful. His cruelty forced me to become someone stronger. Someone I actually like. I like her too. Love her, actually. At dinner, Nonna did ask about wedding dates. Uncle Marco made jokes about Dante finally settling down. The kids demanded Elena help with homework. She was now the designated art project consultant. Gabriella pulled her aside for college application advice. It was loud and chaotic and perfect. After dinner, Sophia caught Elena's arm. I wanted to tell you, I'm glad you said yes to all this. To Dante, to the family. He's different now. Lighter. Like he can finally breathe. He makes me feel the same way. Good. Then you're doing it right. Sophia hugged her. And Elena, about Marcus losing his license. I know you're too kind to say this, but I'll say it. Fuck him. He earned every consequence. Elena laughed, sharp and liberating. You're right. Fuck him. In the car heading home, Dante asked, what was that about? Sophia reminding me I don't have to feel bad about Marcus's choices. That consequences aren't cruel, they're just accurate. She's not wrong. But I love that your instinct is still compassion. That's not weakness. That's strength. They pulled up to Elena's apartment. She still kept it, still needed space that was entirely hers. Most nights she stayed at Dante's, and he'd never once pressured her to give up her independence. Come up? She asked. Always. Inside, Elena made tea while Dante handled late business emails. Domestic and easy. This life they were building. I got another call today, Elena said, settling beside him. A woman named Sarah. Leaving her husband. Saw my story online. Wanted to know how I survived. Dante set down his phone. What did you tell her? That it wasn't courage at first, just survival. That courage came later. That's beautiful and true. He pulled her close. You know what I think? Your story isn't just about us. It's about every woman who's been made to feel small and found a way to become whole. You're proof it's possible. Elena leaned into him, feeling his steady heartbeat. Outside her window, the city glittered with a million lives, a million stories. She'd been one of them once. Lost, broken, invisible. Now she was found. Not because Dante had rescued her, but because he'd held up a mirror until she remembered her own worth. The Madonna of the Shadows hung in a museum somewhere, restored and radiant. And Elena Moretti stood in her apartment, restored too. Not despite the damage she'd survived, but because of it. Some things once broken become more beautiful in the healing. She was proof of that. And tomorrow she'd step into her studio at the Met and continue bringing broken beauty back to life. The work she was always meant to do. Not as anyone's wife or girlfriend or accessory, but as herself. Finally, completely, courageously herself. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.